Hey, welcome. Today, we are going to build a blueprint for a much, much better workday. We're going to talk about how you can stop working against your own biology and instead start architecting a day that is truly built for peak performance. You ready? Let's dive in.
So let's start with a question I think we've all asked ourselves. You put in the hours, right? You sit at the desk, you do the thing. But by 5 o'clock, you feel totally drained, and your to-do list, it looks almost exactly the same. Look, if this sounds familiar, I want you to know something. You are not the problem. It's the system that's broken.
And we've actually got data on this. A Gartner study from 2020 looked at the standard 40-hour workweek and found something pretty shocking. Only 36% of employees were considered high performers. Just think about that for a second. If the system is failing almost 2/3 of the people in it, then the problem isn't the people, it's got to be the system itself.
Okay, so to fix this, we have to look under the hood. We need to understand the real reason for this disconnect between effort and output. And it all comes down to science, specifically the biological clocks that are ticking away inside every single one of us.
So we've all got this main internal clock called the circadian rhythm. It's a 24-hour cycle that basically dictates our energy levels. And for most of us, it follows a pretty predictable pattern. You get a big energy peak in the late morning, then that all-too-familiar dip around 3 p.m., maybe a little second wind in the late afternoon, and then a wind down for sleep. So trying to be on and productive all day long? Yeah, that's literally working against your own body.
Now, if we zoom in on that big 24-hour cycle, there's another, smaller rhythm at play. Our brains actually work in these shorter 90-minute cycles called ultradian rhythms. The best way to think of these is like focused sprints. You've got about 90 minutes of high-energy, super-focused work, which is then biologically followed by a need to rest and recover.
And the difference this makes? It's staggering. When we just ignore these cycles and try to power through for hours, what happens? We get mentally exhausted, we start making dumb mistakes, and we burn out. But when we work with them, in these focused 90-minute blocks with real breaks in between, we can see productivity jump by as much as 40% and fatigue drop by 50%. That's a total game changer. Okay, so we get the biology. The next piece of the puzzle is mastering the psychological habit you need to actually ride those energy waves. And that one habit, above all else, is focus.
First things first, let's just destroy a myth right now. The whole idea that we can effectively multitask, it's just not true. It is, as this quote says, a cognitive illusion. What your brain is really doing is just switching back and forth between tasks really, really fast. And honestly, it's terrible at it.
So what's the actual cost of this illusion? Well, research shows that all that task switching can eat up to 40% of your productive time. I mean, that's like throwing away 2 full workdays every single week. Every time you jump from a report to an email to a Slack message, you're paying what's called a switching cost. It's like a mental tax that just drains your focus and absolutely kills your momentum.
So the antidote to all this chaos is a powerful concept from the author Cal Newport, and it's called deep work. Now, this isn't just regular focus. This is about creating a fortress of solitude around a single, really demanding task. It's about getting into a state where you can push your brain to its limits. This is where the breakthroughs happen. This is where you produce your absolute best, most valuable work.
So how do you actually do this? Well, Newport lays out 4 key ideas. First, you have to schedule it. Put it on your calendar like a meeting. Second, you have to train your brain to embrace boredom instead of constantly needing a distraction. Third, you've got to be ruthless about quitting things that just shatter your attention, like social media. And finally, you have to drain the shallows. Get rid of all those little low-value tasks that pretend to be important. Okay, knowing the principles is great, but putting them into practice, that requires some actual tools. So let's open up the Architect's Toolkit and look at a few simple, proven frameworks that will help you put all this into action.
First up, we've got the Eisenhower Matrix. It's just a brilliantly simple way to sort through your endless to-do list. You just categorize tasks by whether they're urgent and important. Quadrant 1 is for the fires you have to put out right now. But Quadrant 2, the schedule box, that's the magic one. That's where your deep work, your big goals, and your most important projects live. The other 2 quadrants are for things you either give to someone else or, even better, just delete.
Next up, the Pareto principle, which you probably know as the 80-20 rule. And it's so simple. For most things, 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your efforts. So your mission, your real challenge, is to figure out what that vital 20% is in your work and then protect the time you spend on it like a hawk.
All right, so once you know what really matters, you need a system to make sure it actually gets done. And there are 3 powerful techniques to lock these priorities onto your calendar: time blocking, task batching, and using those focused little sprints from the Pomodoro technique.
Out of all of these, time blocking is really the foundation. The idea is simple, but the impact is huge. You're basically swapping out a hopeful to-do list for a concrete game plan. By making appointments with yourself for your most important work, you build a defensive wall around your focus time and things actually start to happen.
Now, these tools are awesome, but real, lasting peak performance isn't just about using a few tricks here and there. It's about building a complete, holistic system that supports you day in and day out. It's about making this stuff sustainable for the long haul.
A really strong, sustainable system is bookended by powerful rituals. And here's a secret: a great day doesn't start in the morning, it actually starts the night before. An evening ritual where you plan for tomorrow and disconnect from screens ensures you get quality sleep. And that, in turn, fuels a morning routine of maybe hydrating, moving your body, and getting your mind ready to focus for the day ahead. Let me be absolutely clear about this next point. Breaks are not a luxury. They're not a sign of weakness or laziness. They are a scientific, biological necessity. Ignoring your brain's need to recharge is simply the fastest way to burn out and produce low-quality work, period.
And not all breaks are created equal. Mindlessly scrolling through your phone is not a real break. It's just more information for your tired brain to process. An effective break means genuinely disconnecting. Getting up for a short walk, just staring out a window, listening to some music, or even taking a quick 10-minute power nap. These are the things that are scientifically proven to recharge your brain.
And finally, you have to be the architect of your own environment, especially your digital one. This means taking back control. Turn off all those nonstop notifications. You decide when you check your email. Don't let it decide for you. Use tools that block distracting websites during your focus blocks. And create sacred, tech-free times and zones to do your most important work.
So here's the big takeaway. The power to change all of this is completely in your hands. It's about shifting your mindset from being a victim of your schedule to being the architect of your day, building a structure that actually works with your natural rhythms, not against them.
This really is the fundamental shift we're talking about. We're moving away from an old industrial model that just values time in the chair to a new model that values actual performance and high-quality output. It is not about working more hours. It is all about making the hours you work truly count.
So I'll leave you with this one question to get you started on your own blueprint. Looking at your goals, what is the single most important thing you can block out time for tomorrow? What is the very first deep work session you will schedule in your new Architected Workday?